Chris Colfer has range, to say the least. He's proven it by being a successful actor, singer, and now author. And on his hit show, Glee, he showed he could belt out anything from Whitney Houston to the B-52s.
Mr. Cellophane should have been my name. Mr. Cellophane, come kick it with you. You'll be my American boy. Up in my Chrysler, it's as big as a whale, and it's about to set sail. I have nothing if I don't have you.
None of us can forget those numbers. Chris is also, though, now a successful writer. Just finished the 6th and final book in his best-selling series for kids, The Land of Stories, Worlds Collide. And guess what? It is now the #1 children's book on the New York Times bestsellers list. How about that? Knocking off names like, oh, I don't know, Harry Potter, Captain Underpants. How can you even live with yourself now you're so famous?
I'm such a huge Harry Potter fan that I feel a little guilty about it.
Well, I got to tell you, I've read the book, and I think it's delightful. I want to say it's for middle readers, if you're parents out there, right? So what would you say the age range is?
You know, it's marketed to 8 to 12, but I know a lot of adults and a lot of teenagers that love reading it by themselves, and a lot of parents that love reading it with their kids. So it's all over the place.
In your book, the storyteller in the book talks about the teacher that inspired him to write. Who inspired you to write as a kid?
Oh, I had a lot of great teachers. J.K. Rowling really was a huge inspiration for me as a young person. But yeah, I had a lot of great teachers that helped me along the way.
And your grandmother, maybe?
Oh, my grandmother too. My grandmother was my very first editor when I was young.
You wrote a quote in one of your books, didn't you? That what was it your grandmother said to you that you had to be finished?
Yes, I dedicated the first book to my grandmother, and she gave me the best advice I've ever had as an author, as a writer, and it was Christopher, wait till you're done with elementary school before you worry about being a failed writer. And she was right. I should have.
What's your process? Do you set a time to write every day? Do you write between takes when you're doing acting work? What do you do?
It's less of a process and more of a cry for help. I tend to write at night when no one bothers me, when the phone doesn't ring. So I will sometimes start at 10 o'clock at night and work until 4 in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah.
I noticed when I was reading your book that it is just rich with great dialogue and snappy dialogue. And I wonder if reading all those scripts on a terrifically written show like Glee all those years really helped you develop a knack for writing dialogue. It's a certain skill set.
Oh, thanks. I think maybe just being an actor in general probably really, you know, when you're able to act out the scenes as you're writing them, I think that really helps a lot with the writing.
And you're also going to direct the film version of this movie and write the screenplay.
Yes.
Now, you also write beautiful descriptions of sort of what would be the set pieces in this book. Do you know how hard it's going to be as a screenwriter and a director to cut those babies out? I mean, those are your babies, and you're going to have to take the axe to it.
You do kind of feel a little bit like a murderer a little bit when you're adapting, but you know, it's nice because you know, the more cuts you make, the more you can really highlight what's really important to you.
When you were really sinking yourself into the arts as an actor and as a writer, a lot of it was to help cope with some of the stress of your childhood. I know your sister was very ill, multiple, was it sclerosis?
She had epilepsy.
Epilepsy.
Yeah, and that's why I started writing as just a way to escape it all as a kid, and thank God I had that outlet, because I don't know what would happen to me if I didn't have the land of stories to fall into now and then.
And also, you know, at school you were bullied for a couple of years. You did some homeschooling, but then you went back and you triumphed. Like you wrote your senior drama. What was it? A take on Sweeney Todd?
Yeah. Oh my God, you know so much about me. This is great. Yeah.
What was it called?
It was called Shirley Todd. it was a gender reversal of Sweeney Todd. So I owe someone a lot of money.
This is before the gender bending of Kinky Boots and RuPaul's Drag Race. You did it first.
I'm a trendsetter, I guess.
But something about working in the arts really did give you empathy and courage.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I think I'm so thankful, and I grew up in Columbus, California, and they have a terrific performing arts department within all their schools, and I'm so grateful for that.
In this book, one of your characters actually conjures his friends and his armies, you know, who help him, right? And it sort of speaks to the power of imagination for kids. Was that something you were trying to do?
Absolutely, and I actually that kind of is based on my experience as a screenwriter, because in screenwriting it's like you put something on a page and a few moments later you see it come to life in front of you, and I thought that'd be a great element for a kid adventure, for a kid to write a story and then bring it to life themselves.
Now this is a 20th Century Fox project, and also is it Sean Levy's doing it?
Sean Levy, yes.
Yes, and Sean has had newfound fame again because of Stranger Things,
which I'm obsessed with.
So to have your show produced by the same people who brought us Stranger Things, it's pretty remarkable.
It's wonderful. I think they're a terrific team, and I can't wait to dive in it with them.
Well, I am rooting for you. And again, when do we think the release will be?
I have no idea, but the more the readership grows, the more that the books get out there, I think the more Fox will want to put it as soon as possible.
And will it be a one-off or will it be a series? Do you know?
I think the plan is to make it a series, so hopefully the first one does well enough so we can continue making them.
And as you do, I hope you can continue to come back here and visit us.
Oh, thank you. I'd love to.
All right, Chris,
Good
it was
to
a
be here.
pleasure to meet
You
you.
too.
You're so influential to so many people, like my own kids.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Thank you. All right, Chris will be at the Landmark Regent Theater in Westwood July 31st to talk about Land of Stories, Worlds Collide, and sign copies. That New York Times #1 bestseller.
Yes, thank you.
That is so impressive, is available now. And moms and dads out there, again, if you have middle readers, this is a great thing to help them finish the summer and get their reading skills back up before school.
Yeah.
Still to come.